Hello, I am Tarık Toros and welcome. The Middle East is once again at a breaking point, where alliances shift like sand and the stakes couldn't be higher. This week, we could easily have renamed our program What's Happening in Syria. In just a matter of days, Heyat Tahrir al-Sham has turned the fragile chessboard of Syria upside down. They've captured Aleppo with lightning speed, seized Hama, and are now advancing on Homs. If Homs falls, it won't just be another loss for the Assad regime. It could signal the collapse of the very lifeline that connects Damascus to Latakia, Syria's crucial port city. For Bashar al-Assad, this might be the toughest and potentially final chapter of his rule. The chaos unleashed in Aleppo is threatening to fracture Syria in ways that may never heal. This week, we'll unravel the critical questions dominating this unfolding crisis. 1. Is HTS trying to legitimize itself following in the footsteps of the Taliban? 2. Are these events in Syria tied to Israel's broader strategy against Iran? 3. What happens if Russia, Assad's most critical ally, loses its military bases in Syria? 4. And how does Turkey's open support for HTS and the Syrian National Army fit into this geopolitical puzzle? HTS's meteoric rise, a new phase, or just a mask? On November 27th, Heyat Tahrir al-Sham launched a surprise offensive on Aleppo. The speed of the attack was shocking, and so was the Syrian army's retreat. Even Russia's air support wasn't enough to stop the advance. HTS, once known as Jabhat al-Nusra and an affiliate of al-Qaeda, has been trying to rebrand itself for years. Under the leadership of Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, the group rebranded in 2016, distancing itself from its terrorist roots. Jolani, who remains on the US's most wanted list with a $10 million bounty, recently gave an interview to CNN. He spoke of minority rights and a vision for a democratically elected government, unusual words from the leader of a jihadist group. But while HTS is sending signals of stability to neighboring nations, it continues its campaign against Assad's regime militarily. On December 5th, they took control of Hama and are now advancing towards Homs. Why is Homs so critical? It's more than just a city. It's the artery that connects Damascus and Latakia, where Russia's naval and air bases are located. Losing Homs would sever this link, isolating Assad's regime from one of its most strategic strongholds. For Assad, the fall of Homs could mark the beginning of the end.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. أبشركم إخواني أن إخوانكم المجاهدون الثوار قد بدأوا بالدخول إلى مدينة حما.
A perfect storm. Israel, Iran, and the regional domino effect. HTS's offensive has had a ripple effect, reawakening ISIS cells in the deserts east of Homs. These cells have seized control of several villages, and in response, the US launched airstrikes to support the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces. Meanwhile, Hezbollah, Iran's ally in Lebanon, is showing signs of weakness. Israel, Iran's primary adversary, has continued to escalate its airstrikes on Iranian assets in Syria. The timing is no coincidence, just as Israel finalized a ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon. HTS began its offensive on Aleppo. Analysts suggest that these developments may not be entirely disconnected. By cutting Iran's supply lines through Syria to Lebanon, Israel could be aiming to weaken Hezbollah, its fiercest regional adversary. HTS's march toward Homs fits neatly into this framework. If Homs falls, Iran's land bridge to Lebanon could be severed, cutting off a critical supply route to Hezbollah. In this scenario, Assad's collapse wouldn't just be a loss for Syria, it would be a strategic blow to Iran's regional ambitions.
24 февраля началась специальная военная операция на Украине. Выполняя поставленные задачи.
Russia's gamble. Can Putin hold the line? For Moscow, the fall of Aleppo has triggered a diplomatic emergency. On December 3rd, Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly called Turkish President Erdogan, urging him to rein in HTS. Russia's stakes in Syria are immense. Latakia and Tartus are home to its key naval and air bases, providing access to the Mediterranean and cementing its influence in the Middle East. If Homs falls, those bases could be isolated. The Alawite communities in Latakia, Assad's core supporters, are already fleeing toward the coast. Their movement is a stark signal that confidence in Assad's regime is eroding. For Russia, losing its foothold in Syria would be a major blow, not just in the Middle East, but also in its broader strategic competition with NATO and the US. Some suggest that NATO sees Russia's weakened position in Syria as an opportunity to gain leverage in negotiations over Ukraine. The stakes for Putin couldn't be higher.
İdlib zaten tamam ama Humus yine muhaliflerin elinde.
Turkey ambitions in Syria, buffer zone or beyond. Turkey's involvement in Syria is deeply rooted. Before the civil war, Turkey and Syria enjoyed strong ties. Visa requirements were abolished, trade agreements were signed, and relations flourished. But as the war unfolded, Turkey became one of Assad's fiercest critics. President Erdogan called Assad a tyrant and a murderer, offering military and logistical support to opposition groups. In 2012, Erdogan famously declared his intention to pray at the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, symbolizing a vision for a post-Assad Syria. By 2015, Turkish media even referred to Aleppo as Turkey's 82nd province, underscoring its ambitions in the region. Today, Erdogan remains vocal. On December 6th, he reaffirmed his support for the opposition, saying Idlib, Hama, Homs, and of course Damascus are the targets. Turkish role in supporting HTS and the Syrian National Army is clear, but its endgame remains uncertain. Is this about creating a buffer zone, a stronger negotiating position, or something more ambitious?
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
The Middle East new flashpoint. To sum it up, the developments since November 27th have reshaped the landscape in Syria. The Assad regime is teetering, HTS is on the rise, and fallout is reverberating across the region. This isn't just about Syria. The ripple effects stretch from Gaza to Lebanon, from Russia to NATO, creating new flashpoints in an already volatile region. Syria is no longer just a Syrian crisis. It's part of a larger chessboard where every move carries global implication. I am Tarık Toros. Thank you for watching and see you next week.